What's up, everyone? We are back with picks on every single NBA game for Friday, March 1st. We're running it back with the NBA, but don't worry, NCAA basketball picks are coming up tomorrow for the massive Saturday slate. This video is brought to you by StumpTheSpread.com, where you can get all of our best picks and predictions on every major sport. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the NBA and NCAA basketball videos we post every single day. Welcome to all the new subscribers and new viewers. Don't forget to comment below with any questions or bets on today's slate. I read and respond to every single comment. Now let's dive into our first game of the day, the Cavaliers at the Pistons. Cleveland comes into this game fresh off a very disappointing loss to the Bulls. Things haven't gone exactly how Cleveland had hoped they would go right after the All-Star break, although they have won 2 of their last 3, getting a close win at Dallas and a comfortable win over the Wizards. Right now, Cleveland is sitting in the 2 spot in the East. They're 8 games back of the Celtics. They're only a half game up on the Milwaukee Bucks for that 2-3 seed battle, but I think we can feel pretty decent about the Cavaliers. Maybe holding on to that spot, maybe not. Obviously, the difference between the 2 and 3 seed probably isn't going to be huge. In terms of injuries right now, we see Donovan Mitchell is listed as day-to-day. He's questionable for this matchup due to left knee soreness, so you want to keep a close eye on that. That makes a huge difference. Honestly, that might be what swings our bet in this game. Donovan Mitchell is kind of the force that makes his team go, although having Darius Garland in there to soak up those extra minutes when he's out and those extra possessions, there's nothing wrong with that. Darius Garland is an absolute monster, more than capable of running his own team. The Pistons come into this game fresh off of a win over the Bulls. They played at Chicago. They looked very good. Detroit is 13-14-1 against the spread when they're playing at home, so nothing too special. Right now, the Pistons, they don't have a lot to play for. Obviously, they've only won 9 games this season, so they're looking to kind of tank things out and see how high of a draft pick they can get. They want as many lottery ping pong balls as they can possibly have. This team's healthy right now, so that's nice at least. Looking at Cleveland minus 7.5 in this game, that kind of tells me that they don't think Donovan Mitchell is going to play. If he ends up not playing, I still don't think we like Detroit in this spot. Give me Cleveland on the road here. They haven't been great against the spread on the road, but they also haven't been terrible, and they're by far the better team. In the season series, Cleveland has been dominant, winning every single game. They're 3-0, and every win has been by more than 7 points, or at least 7 points. Yeah, at least 7 points. So I think we like them to get the win and cover in this first game of the day, especially if Donovan Mitchell ends up playing. Next up, we've got Charlotte at Philadelphia. Charlotte played last night against the Bucks. They played at home in Charlotte, so they had to go from Charlotte to Philadelphia. Not a crazy flight, but not something you're going to be really excited to be doing. Things didn't exactly go the Hornets' way in that game against the Bucks. Are we surprised? We are not. Charlotte is not really winning games right now. They did have a little spurt right there where they won 4 in a row. That was crazy, very unexpected. We don't really think we're going to see LaMelo Ball in this game, but you never really know when they might decide to bring him back. He's currently listed as out, but like I said, really no way to know when that return is going to be made. It kind of feels like they just want to hold him out the rest of the season. If they do, that's fine and good. I wish they would just declare him out for the season, though. Give us some real news that we can actually sink our teeth into and make some predictions based off of those. Charlotte is very reasonable 6-4 against the spread, playing on no rest, but they're terrible against the spread on the road, going 10-19 overall against the spread. Philadelphia comes into this game. They've been struggling a little bit, but losing games to the Celtics and the Bucks when you've got Joel Embiid on the sideline is not something that's a big surprise. This team has been trying to keep their head above water without their best player, their MVP candidate. Not too shocking that adding Kyle Lowry didn't really change the narrative a whole bunch, or adding Buddy Hield, although he has been doing what he can to try and help out. Embiid just came out and said that he's trying to come back during the regular season no matter what's going on, so I kind of think that should be something of a boost for Philly. They come into this game 11.5 point favorites. That's an awful lot, but I think giving Charlotte's bad trends against the spread when playing on the road and on not on no rest, I don't know, guys. That's kind of a tough spot. I don't love it. They're good on no rest, but they're bad on the road. I think we just take Philly to get the win and cover in this one. Not a huge lean, though. I will not be betting this game. We can't really depend on either one of these teams right now. Next up, we've got one of the biggest games of the night. We've got Dallas heading to Boston. Dallas comes in this game fresh off a road win over Toronto. They're on a 4-game road trip. This is the last game of that road trip, so it'll be interesting to see what they're out here trying to do. They lost that very disappointing game at Cleveland to that buzzer beater by Max Strus. That was a crazy shot. That was a crazy game. Pretty exciting one to watch, though. Boston comes into this one playing well, like they've been doing all season long. The Celtics are on a 9-game winning streak. They come into this game looking healthy. Everyone's rested, ready to go. The Celtics are only 16-14 against the spread at home, so that's not a terrible number, but Dallas, interestingly enough, is a startling 18-10 against the spread when they're playing on the road. The Mavs come into this game plus 7.5. The question for me on this one is, do Boston have enough perimeter defenders to effectively slow down Luka and Kyrie? Now, they do have Derek White and Drew Holiday, so you would think, bam, there you go, there's the 2. They also have Jaylen Brown, so they've got different looks they can throw at him. This feels like a lot of points to me, though. Boston has not really been playing tough tough teams during this stretch. They did get a close win over the Miami Heat at Miami, but that was a very close game. Generally speaking, though, they've just been playing bad teams. Like, the Knicks are not a bad team, but with who they were able to put on the floor against Boston, they're a bad team. So I think my lean in this one is going to be Dallas and the points. They're getting 7.5. That seems like quite a few to me. I think they find a way to keep this close. I think we see an angry Kyrie Irving in this game. I think we see him pop off. The Celtics did win by 9 in this matchup back on January 22nd, but the Mavs are a much better team at this point in the season, so I think we see this be a very close game that comes down to the last couple of possessions. Next up, we see Golden State heading to Toronto. Golden State comes into this game fresh off a tough one against the Knicks. Jalen Brunson did play in that game, so it's a hard-fought battle for Golden State. They're going to be playing on back-to-back nights where they've been pretty reasonable. They've been 7-4-1 against the spread on no rest, so that's a pretty good number, especially for a veteran team. And the Warriors are 18-8 against the spread when they're playing on the road, so they've been road warriors this season, which is a crazy difference when you compare it to last season. The Raptors come into this game fresh off an 11-point loss at home to the Dallas Mavericks. Toronto has been kind of up and down lately. They did win 3 straight before they lost to the Mavs, which was kind of impressive, but when one of those wins is against Atlanta, one of them's over Brooklyn, they kind of lose their shine. This is a young team. They're going to be good in the future. I think some of these young players are going to develop. RJ Barrett might be a little bit past that window where we see him making massive improvements, but quickly, and Scotty Barnes, they should both be getting better, so we'll see how that goes down the stretch. But in this game, I don't know, guys. Right now, the spread's looking like Toronto +3. Golden State's only -3. We'll see what kind of minutes their starters end up with at the end of this game, but I kind of feel like we like Golden State -3 since they've been so good on the road. But once again, this is only going to be a small lean. This isn't going to be one of our bigger plays of the night. If it is on the bet slip, though, if we are betting this game, it's going to be the Warriors. Next up, we've got a pretty weak matchup between two pretty weak teams. The Portland Trail Blazers head to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. Portland has lost their last several games in a row. They just lost by 10 to the Miami Heat. The Grizzlies come into this game fresh off a 9-point loss at the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've lost 3 in a row. Neither one of these teams is looking too hot. Memphis is terrible against the spread playing at home. Portland is not healthy coming into this game with both Scoot Henderson and Malcolm Brogdon listed as out and DeAndre Ayton marked as day-to-day. So they're still tanking things out. There's no reason for them to be hustling back either one of these players. The Grizzlies are also not healthy. Jaren Jackson Jr. is marked as out. Luke Kennard is day-to-day. Derrick Rose is out. Like, things are just looking terrible for both of these teams. Not any reason for anybody to be watching these games. Not any reason for anybody to care about these games. We're just going to go with the trend in this one. Portland is much better against the spread on the road than Memphis is against the spread at home. Portland +2.5. That's our small lean. Next up, we got the Sacramento Kings heading to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. The Kings come into this game fresh off a disappointing, to some, performance at the Denver Nuggets. We had Denver in that one, so we were very excited to see that one come through for you guys. Hope you made some money. Right now, we see De'Aaron Fox marked as day-to-day. That's a bit concerning. We're going to need him to play in this game if we want the Kings to really be able to match up well. He's questionable with a sore knee. He sat out Wednesday's game, so that helped that pick be right for sure. Can we depend on him to play in this game? I don't really think we can bank on it. There's seemingly a decent chance that he does play, but this seems like a real questionable. I don't think we're going to really know until game time. And going against the Timberwolves is going to be tough. Minnesota's won 3 in a row and 7 of their last 8 overall. They haven't been playing through that tough of a stretch of schedule. I mean, 2 of those games were against the Blazers, and one was against Brooklyn, one was against San Antonio, one was against Memphis. So they've really been taking advantage of some weak teams. Minnesota doesn't really seem to be one of those squads that gets up for these games against bad opponents, but the Kings do not fit that criteria. Sacramento's a pretty solid team. Assuming that De'Aaron Fox plays, they're a pretty solid team. I think we're going to go with the Kings on the road in this one. Sacramento is 18-13-1 against the spread when playing on the road. Keep an eye on that, though. This play only holds if De'Aaron Fox is going to be playing. I think the spread kind of tells you that he won't be. If he does play, we like this down to the Kings plus anything over 4. So we'll see what the injury report holds on this one. Right now, the small lean for us is the Kings. The Timberwolves don't really seem to take blowing out opponents very seriously, so I don't think we see a blowout in this one. Next up, we've got the Milwaukee Bucks headed to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Milwaukee comes into this game fresh off a fairly easy win over the Hornets. They won by 12, so not a massive blowout, but enough to get the job done. The Bucks have really been feasting against bad teams lately, but will that hold up against the Chicago Bulls? The Bulls are a really hard, weird team to figure out. In the season series, we've seen Milwaukee be pretty dominant, except for a overtime game back in November, I think it is, where the Bulls came away with an overtime win. Chicago just got a win over the Cleveland Cavaliers in overtime. They could be a little bit tired. They have had rest in between these games, so technically they should shouldn't be tired. We see Caruso marked as day-to-day. The Bulls right now are sitting in the 9 seed in the East. They're a game and a half up on the Atlanta Hawks, so they can feel pretty good about making the play-in tournament, but not much else. They're not going to move up to around where the Orlando Magic or the Pacers are at. They are stuck in the play-in. Are they going to be able to make it through the play-in? That seems like a tall order for me. Milwaukee is only 11-17 against the spread on the road and 5-5 against the spread on no rest. Chicago is 15-14-1 against the spread at home, so pretty much even, but I think we like the Bulls in this spot a little bit. Chicago's getting 5.5 points playing at home. Milwaukee is really nothing special. They should have Caruso to run out there and slow down Dame. Do the Bulls really have anybody to slow down Giannis? Not so much, but does Milwaukee play any defense? The answer to that question seems to still be no. So our lean is definitely Chicago and the points in this one. Indiana heads to New Orleans in our next one. We see the Pacers come into this game playing pretty well. The Pacers just took down the Pelicans in game 1 of a home-and-home series. The Pacers won game 1 by 9 points, so not exactly a blowout, but getting the win in the first game of the little mini-series has to be a good feeling. We did see Zion play in that game, and Brandon Ingram went off for 30 points. CJ McCollum played in that game. He was questionable coming into it, so we didn't know if we'd actually see him in that one. But Siakam, Halliburton, everybody just kind of had a bounce-back game. Obi Toppin was big coming off the bench. Up and down, the Pacers just seem to be playing really well. In this game, somehow Indiana's getting 5.5 points. I don't really see a way around that. We're going to look at the Pacers injury report. Pretty much looks clean. We see Naismith still marked as likely to be out for this game, but that's not really a huge problem. That just gives other players some added opportunity, so we're not really too upset about that. Indiana just comes into this game looking very good. Like, this team is great. They're going to pump out the offense. They really handled what felt like the best punch that the Pelicans could really throw at them. Like, New Orleans shot almost 40% from 3. They got 23 free throws. We only saw the Pacers shoot 9 free throws in that game and still win comfortably. This is going to be probably our biggest bet of the day. We're going to be on Indiana in a big way in this one. I think we could see the Pacers even win this straight up, so if you felt like going with them just on the money line, I wouldn't be able to fault you there. Take the Pacers for sure in this one. Last but not least, we've got the Washington Wizards heading to LA to take on the Clippers. Washington is playing on back-to-back nights in the Staples Center. They're playing the Lakers, and then they're playing the Clippers. Washington is startlingly good. They're 18-11-1 against the spread on the road, but they are 3-7 against the spread on no rest, and they're going to have been spending the night in LA, so that's a little bit concerning. Hard to know what Jordan Poole or Kyle Kuzma are going to get up to in LA. The Wizards have not been good lately. They're just not a good team. There's nothing really to say about that. They're tanking it out. There's not a lot of positives. The roster just doesn't have a lot of good names on it. The Clippers have Paul George currently listed as day-to-day. Will he be back for this game? It seems like this is a true questionable designation. He did not practice on Tuesday though, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in the he's not going to be playing in this one category. Right now, the Clippers also have Zubac listed as day-to-day. Not that that really should matter too much against a Wizards team, but this is a big spread, guys. We're seeing Washington get 14.5 points in this one, so we have to pay attention to that. The Clippers come into this game not looking so hot. They lost back-to-back games falling to Sacramento and the Lakers. They're a pretty top-heavy team, so they need all of their big-name players. With Paul George being out, that kind of opens up some holes in the roster. The Clippers are only 14-14 against the spread at home. This feels a little bit weird, guys, but we are actually going to be taking Washington and the points in this one. This is not going to be a big lean. We're not looking to get a bunch of money down on the Washington Wizards, especially playing on back-to-back nights where they've been so bad, but we can't ignore that against the spread trend on the road for them, and that is a ton of points for an NBA team to be getting. I think they find a way to make this relatively close, and the Clippers aren't going to be really out here to blow out anybody. Anyway, that's not really the MO of this team. They're going to want to get their win and move on as they continue to try and battle their way up the Western Conference standings and to keep the Suns at a distance to make sure the Clippers can maintain home court advantage at least in the first round of the playoffs. That's all the NBA games for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below with any questions or comments about these picks or today's slate, and check out stumpthespread.com to see all of our top plays. College basketball picks will be back on Saturday. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. We'll see you guys tomorrow for some college basketball action.